Hey, there's Dan. Alright, y'all. We got a new project today. We got dropped off last night. This is one of Dan's old friends that I met a couple weeks ago. What was that, about 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, probably about 3 weeks.
He was in a video real short, and when we were doing Dan's truck, his name's Chris, and he talked to me about bagging this S10 that he's had since he was 16. He said last night he was 30, 35, 36. He's had it a long time. It's been in the body shop for the last couple of years. He just got it back, which is kind of backwards. We like to do the bag work and then paint them, but we're gonna try to be real careful not to skin it up. Really clean truck. It's a, you remember what your Molly said? 96, I think. It's got a
95 or 96.
It's got a TBI motor in it, so it's a 94 to 96 or somewhere in there. We're gonna put some air out on it. We may body drop it, traditional. Not sure yet. He's still debating his options on that. I told him he's probably going to swap the vintage air if we body dropped it, so I think that may have held him up a little bit. Got some 17-inch Budnicks on it. 215 40-17 tire. This is the same size tire that's on Jeff's black S10. You can keep the fender wells in the front and the bed with this size tire, so that's what he went with. So we didn't have to tub it. And it's very minimal under the hood compared to Brandon Jan's truck. There's a ABS junction module over there, and that's about it. And a battery. So like, you pop the hood on Brandon's truck, there's just junk everywhere. Dan will tell you, there's a computer and just stuff everywhere. So
All kinds of stuff.
we'll be pretty minimal on this one, I think. We're gonna put a Twisted Images 6-link, which is basically the same thing as on my S10, but mine was made by Lowrider Depot back in the day. This is like new updated stuff. We're gonna put that on the front. We got drop spindles and cups. With a 17, you don't really need, tubular upper and lower control arms and all that stuff. We got a VU4 Vire 444 dual pack, AVS switch box, adapter harness, all that stuff. So we're gonna jump in this thing, get the bed off. I'm gonna do the rear first. He forgot to bring the notches last night, so he's gonna bring the notches over today, but I wanna put the 6-link on first. That way I can make sure that the notch is centered over the rear end. So that's one thing that kind of bothers me when you get it all together and then the rear end's forward or backwards in the notch. I don't like that. So, all right, tear this thing apart. Thought we skinned his cab, it was a gas neck.
That's a little heavier than I thought.
Yeah, well, probably took our tailgate off. Whew. We old, bro. Bye, Felicia. Alright, toodaloo. Alright, let's check this thing out. Yeah, it's S10, alright. Sliding rag top. He's got the tweed dash. 4.3 TBI motor. And about to back this thing in and start tearing it apart right here. Me and Dan just set that off because we unloaded all the parts last night right in front of the cherry picker, and I didn't want to move it all. So we just set it on some stands over there out the way. And I don't want it sitting out in the weather in case it rains, because this truck left the paint shop and went straight into another shop and hasn't been outside. So, and it don't have windows in it. So there's that. So I got everything laid out here for the 6-link. This is additional. This is the carrier bearing cross member that raises it up. He went ahead and opted to get that too. Oh, hold on, my directions are blowing away. All right. Ka-chow. All right, anyway, so we've got Dominator 2600s. The directions say that this kit is designed to use with 2500s, but my truck's got 2600s, basically the same kit. I don't see where we're having any trouble. If we do, I've got some up there. So we got the rear differential bracket. It's a 10-bolt bracket, which is nice instead of half of the differential. That's the way mine is. Mine only covers up half the bolts. You got your spacer, upper plates, your dog bones. You can get different length dog bones for different size wheels. Those look kind of long, so those are probably spec for 20s or 22s. But if it cuts a bunch of the lift out, then we may order a set from Phil. Lower bars, rear cantilever bars, upper bars. Your new KYB shocks. These are the same shocks as on the back of my truck. They ride great. There's your rear bar mounts, raised gas tank cross member, U-bolts, all your hardware. everything. So we about to get started. First things first, I'm gonna drop this gas tank, get it out of the way, get all the lines taped up, moved out of the way, and then I got to get this cross member out. I've got to remove this charcoal canister, and yeah, once I get that out, I can start installing this one, and it just bolts in. And then at the front, you've got to drill new holes here. So I'll show you that when we get to that point. So, oh yeah, let me also note, this stuff does not come painted. Chris went and had all this stuff painted. They painted it with like tractor enamel paint or whatever. I don't know. He said he didn't know what they used, but it looks really good. So just want to throw that out there. All right, I didn't get started till like 10:30, and now it's lunchtime. And all I did so far is take the bed off and get the gas tank out. Be right back. I'm gonna go get stuffed because I ain't eating no breakfast. I'm hungry. All right, so we're back. Dawson's here now from our oh so delicious Taco Bell lunch. I'm never letting these kids pick lunch again, ever. Ugh. All right, now we got to cut this crossmember out. That's the very first thing we're gonna do. So I got my plasma out. You can use a cutoff wheel or whatever. You got to get rid of these rivets. There's 2 on top, 2 on the bottom. Normally what I do is I blow the head off of them, and then I take the Sawzall and cut the crossmember in 2 and beat it down with a hammer, and it'll pull those rivets out. We'll see. Maybe.
One way to find it.
Hit it with your purse. Let's go get another one. Hey, hold up. Let's knock some rivets through the frame. Drop the hammer this time.
Take 2.
Hit it that way. Oh God. Ta-da. Next. Ta-da. Alright. They're out. Kinda. Now I gotta get those cut off and get that piece out. Should be no problem now that I can actually get to it. Oh, Brandon's here. Wait, I heard a truck air out a minute ago. We were looking all around the yard. Was like, there's nobody here. And then he come walking up from way over there. He hid from us. All right, we got all that off, top and bottom. And we went ahead and painted it everywhere I ground down to get the rivets out. Got the new cross member here. We swapped all the clips over from the factory stuff for the gas tank strap. And we're about to bolt this dude in. I have to look in the directions and tell you the size of the bolt, but I can't remember. But if you're doing this kit and you bought it new, you're gonna have directions too, so it'll be pretty easy to just look them up yourself. But all right, get this bolted in and go from. So note, those factory rivet holes are not big enough for the new bolts, so we're reaming them.
Waller them out a little bit.
Yeah. If you're like Dawson, though, you used to wallering stuff out. The new bolts are 1/2 inch by 1.5 inches long. It doesn't tell you in the directions, but if you got a little bit of common sense, you come over here, you look at this thing right here, quantity 4, you know that's how many it's going to take to hold it in. 1/2 inch by 13 pitch thread, 1.5 inch long bolt. There's 4 of those, so we know that's what goes there. Also, there's a reinforcing plate that goes on the bottom side. Make sure you put those on, and let's bolt this dude up.
So, what you got going on down here?
We made a drill press, so you got to drill these holes from the bottom. And ain't a real good way to do it, so you take floor jack, you get Brandon to sit on the frame over there, and then you put a little pressure against it.
I mean, is it wrong if it works?
It ain't wrong if it works. Good job.
And it worked. Good job.
Pops idea. Mid-sentence. Alright, this is Chris. This guy that owns the truck. He just showed up, hang out with us. We are doing the hangers. We already done that one. So you cut all these off with all the rivets with a plasma or whatever. The front bolt hole goes to the back bolt hole, and then you drill 3 new holes there, there, and there, and bolt it up, and that's it. That simple, huh? Takes about an hour per hanger. Yeah, it seems like it takes forever, but got that one mocked up, fixing to drill some holes and get this one bolted up. Yeah, they're on there pretty good. So get these bolted up and then come back with y'all and Next step. You excited? All right, Chris Smith. Y'all met him. He's on the video a while back. How long you had this truck? So since you was 16? And you're how old? 19 years. Told me a while ago it's been pretty well parked since like 2008, just moved around. And then it's been at the body shop for the last, you said 2 years. So it's not gonna be here for 2 years, I can assure you. Maybe 2 weeks, but. All right, we're gonna get back to work. All right, we're still working. My hands has been in gloves and covered in grease. So I wasn't filming, but we got all the bushings in. There's a bunch of them. All the polyurethane bushings and sleeves, and we're bolting the 4-link up. You got wide bushings at the front. The rear, you got small bushings. You got a really long 7 1/4 inch bolt that goes through all of it. Goes through there, goes through the shop. And then up here, you got to fight these and make these heims right here go together after you get those in. So we're gonna fight with that for a few minutes. Actually, it looks like it's about lined up.
It's gonna come out.
So, we've been on this for about, what, hour and a half? So, it's a little time consuming, but we got 4 people out here working on it. So, watch, he's about to say a bad word.
No, I'm trying to be good. I figured out that we put it on backwards.
Yeah, so this is where the dog bone bolts up. It's kind of hard to bolt that to the front of the truck.
It was like, where did these look off?
Good job, go us. Whatever. Alright, so we got the rear mounts bolted up, drilled the holes, got the arms up there. We're going to remove this cross member so I can build one to mount the air tanks and all. So we just went over and found a piece of 1/2 inch weld across there just to hold the frame, keep it from twisting up. The whole crew's here. Even Chandler made it out now. I said the whole crew's here. Even Chandler made it. So we're gonna get this cross member out of here, and also you have to remove some rivets, and that's where the airbags bolt up. I'll crawl in there and show y'all the deal with that. All right, so laying down here under this frame, there's a couple rivets on this cross member. There's one here and one here, and then there's also one here that's on the shock mount that you got to get out. Your airbag's going to bolt through these 2 existing holes, and your air fitting lines up here. You got to do a little trimming, but I'm taking this one out to get this cross member out. So it's loose now. I got to go over and do the other side, but just want to show y'all what you have to knock loose under here. You definitely have to take these 2 loose, and then you take this one loose if you want to get this cross member out. Alright, so we've run into an issue with this thing. The dog link is hitting the arm, so we're going to have to notch this out. I ain't run into that yet, so mine's got round pipe here instead of flat plate. So easiest, quickest solution is probably just going to be to notch it. So
Let it self-clear.
no.
Self-clear will go
Alright, y'all, it's the next day. It's Sunday now. It's about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Been lazy all day. Sunday's my lazy day, so I'm gonna take advantage of it. Yesterday we got to the point where the dog bone arm was hitting the rear cantilever arm, and I had had enough for the day. I was tired, so went ahead and just called it a day. And now I'm back out here. I got to fix it. So I'm gonna pull this arm back loose, and let me see here. Yeah, I got to pull the airbag back out because I cut where the bed mount hole was for the air fitting. I'm gonna cut it a little bit more. I didn't like how much clearance it had. It would have cleared, but it's still a little close. So I'm gonna pull this arm back off and notch that out a little bit. I've already marked it, so I know where to grind, and put it back together. So I'm gonna do this side, go ahead and do the other side, and get all that bolted up. That way it'll be on its own suspension. Everything will be done, except I gotta bolt the top of the shocks up also. But that way at least I can air it up with shop air and move it if I need to. And I also would like to go ahead and start doing the notches. He got 8-piece notches. I'm more of I like 2x3 box tubing or 3x3. But he already had these, and we're going to use them, and we can set them up however high we want them. He said he would like to set this truck up so that if he ever put a 20 on it, it would lay out. So I'm going to base that and say a 27-inch, or not 37, 27-inch tall tire. So I'm going to do my math there, and if you need help figuring that out, I'll go ahead and cover that and kind of show you how to figure out how big you need your notch to be. And yeah, let's get cracking. All right, I just took the grinder and just moved that back a little bit. I tried to make it really even, but it was kind of hard to get up in there. So I'm going to test fit it, and if it fits, I'll pull it back off, paint it black, and let it ride. All right, y'all. Chris, he wants to set this truck up to lay out on a 20-inch wheel in the future. It's got 17s on it now, so we're going to have a lot more notch than what we actually need. We could probably do an underbed notch on this truck, and it would still lay out on the 17s. But we're going to set it up for future reference, for future endeavors, as we should call them. And to figure out how tall your notch needs to be, it's very simple. So I'm going to show you how to do it right here on a piece of cardboard. So you got 27-inch tall tire. Half of that is going to be below the axle. The other half of that is going to be above the axle. So you need half of that. So 13.5. That's how far the center of the axle needs to be above the ground for a 27-inch tall tire. The axle tube on this truck is actually 2 3/4, but to make math really simple, I just rounded up to 3 because most of the trucks that you're going to do are going to have a 3-inch axle tube. If they're a full size, if they're a mini truck, they're going to probably be 2 3/4. Get into some weird fractions there with 2 3/4. So I just rounded up to 3 to make it easier for y'all. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. That's to the center of the axle tube. All right, now we're going to add those two together. That means the center of this axle tube needs to be 15 inches above the ground, if that makes sense, to lay out on a 27-inch tall tire. So you would measure from the ground up 15 inches, and that would give you how tall the top of your axle tube needs to be. All right. In my situation, I'm going to turn this around and show you in just a second. This truck is on the lift. I've got the lift not all the way down, but pretty close. So I measured from the bottom of the frame to the ground. That is 8 1/4. So in my current configuration with the way this truck is sitting on the lift, I need the rear end, the top of the rear end, to be 23 1/4 inches off the ground to lay out on a 20. So let me turn this camera around here and I'll show you what we got. Come on, Gimbal, work with me. Oh, I turned y'all the wrong way. Oh, backwards. All right. So if I measure from the ground to where I need it to be, 23 1/4 inches is right here. As you can tell, that's not even over the top of the frame. So, oh, hold on, let me get y'all back situated. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this notch a little bit above the frame, just for extra room, and I'm probably going to put a bump stop on it. I usually don't do that, but I just want to be fancy on this one. I want to put a bump stop in. So I'm going to get some 1x1 tubing, and I'm going to tack it to the top of the frame rails. That's going to space the bottom of the notch up 1 inch above the top of the frame. That way I know I can make it even on both sides, and it's going to be just big enough because we don't want to have a gigantic notch cover in this truck. We're going to make it just as low profile as we can. That notch that he has, I believe, is 3 inches tall at the top. So we're going to be around 4 inches above the frame, if my math's right. Should be. Don't quote me. But anyway, so I'm about to get started setting this up, and I will come back and show you kind of where I'm at with it and how I got everything situated and squared. I can go ahead and tell you that these rear shock mounts, I've got to keep them because that's part of the 6-link kit. They bolt back up like factory, but they're going to have to be modified to clear the notch. So I can tell you that ahead of time. I had to modify mine on my S10. Even with the box tube and notch, I had to cut them. So I'm going to have to cut these two. I will show you how to do that, and get you prepared for if you decide to buy this kit. It's a very nice kit. It took us a little while to put it on. There was a lot of working and a lot of BSing. So, but we made a bunch of progress yesterday. The back of this truck is completely on its new suspension now. I still got some bolts to tighten, but everything's there. I can air it up with shop air and move it. So, But I want to go ahead and get started on these notches before I call it a day. And I need to quit talking because I need to turn my fans back on. So, all right, so I showed y'all how to figure out the notch, how tall you really needed it to be. I've picked the truck back up a little bit, give me some room there so the rear end wasn't completely collapsed. I came in, I found my center line above the axle. On this truck, from the very back of the frame to the center of the axle with this kit is 35 inches on both sides, so I marked that out. Then I came in, I measured the opening for the notch, and it was about 6.5 before it starts curving. So with the curve, it's a little bit more. So what I did, I came in here, I measured off of the center line over 2 1/4, and this is 1 inch tubing. So, all right, the math: 6.5 divided by 2 would be 3 1/4 to the center. So I measured over 2 1/4 for the 1x1 tubing both ways, and that lets me sit my notch right down on top of it. I know it's going to be completely 100% level with the frame, and it's a whole lot easier to weld it with something holding it when you're out here by yourself. So I got that size sitting up there too, and now I can go in. I can mark the back of this with a Sharpie. I can cut it off, and that way I won't have to do that after it's welded in. I can also, once I cut it off, I can transfer it to the 2 inside ones, and I'm probably going to cut it just a little high, like maybe I'll make my mark and then come up like I don't know, 3/16 of an inch or something. That way I can get a weld here and not up under it laying down where it's a pain to get to, if that makes sense. And then also once I do that cut higher, that's going to allow that one to sit on the top side of the inside of the frame. So that way it's not trying to overlap it and go, you know, like here, and then I'm trying to weld on the bottom side. I want it to sit right inside here where I can weld it on the outside. Like I said, you can see here how where this notch is. You can see this shock mount. So I'm going to have to go in here and make a relief cut somehow. And then I'll end up welding this to the side of the notch once I get it all welded in. So, all right, well, I'm going to pull this back apart, start grinding, get everything cut, and I'll show you again in just a second. All right, so I got this outside notch welded, the outside, and I welded on the inside, both sides. I got this piece tacked in. I had to come in and trim this back. And then the frame rail does like a bow. If you see that one, kind of bows out. I come in, I notched it. You can see exactly how much I notched off right there. I done that just trying to get the notch to be square. I didn't want it at an angle, front and rear. Here, I notched it too. You can see there how much I notched out of it. Just trying to get this thing to be as square as I can. I don't want it all funky. And then when I go to cap it, then I got to do a bunch of grinding and trimming and making the stuff fit. So, yeah. These are really time consuming. I'm like an hour into this already. If I was doing box tubing notches, I'd probably already be done, if we're being honest. But this is just how we used to do it a lot. And I kind of got away from them, but the customer didn't know that. He bought this notch, and I ain't mad at him about it. But, you know, it is what it is. It's just a different way to do it. So I like to show y'all a bunch of different ways to do this stuff because not everybody does them exactly like me, and maybe this will give you an idea of how to do it on your truck. So I've got this outside plate welded in. I've got this one tacked. I'm going to go over and trim this one and weld it in good, and then weld it good, and then get the inside one tacked in just like this one. That way I can try to get these tubes out. I just put a few tacks on them, so I should be able to take a hammer and just hit it right there on the end and break the tacks loose, you know, and get those out of there. But I want to get those out before I get any farther. I don't want, with this one welded and that outside one welded, I should be able to get them out. If I weld all 4 of them, it may have a lot of pressure on it. I may not be able to get them out. So, you know, I want to go ahead and get to that point first. So I'm going to knock that side out, and I'll come back to you in just a minute. All right, I got this side. I got the outside one welded. Just going to show you. Sometimes the bottom will be a little spread out. You just get you a vice grip, or not a vice grip, but a clamp, and you just push it in a little bit. So I'm going to tack this corner right here, and then, well, it's kind of hard to tell, and then let off, get that out even with this one. The rear one right here. So I cut this one the exact same as that one, and this one's got a little bit of overhang. So what I will do is I will take this pair of big channel adjustables right here, and I will bend that down and clamp it at the same time, and they'll be matching then. If not, I would have had to cut more off this side and they wouldn't have been the exact same. So doing it this way, I know that they'll be the same. Like I say, don't be scared to just finesse it just a little bit. It's a frame. It's been doing duty since 1996. So it may not be the exact same, but we're gonna make it the exact same. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this inside one tack at the bottom, front and rear, and then we're gonna try to get this 1x1 out of here. Success. Took way longer than it should have, but and we still got some 1x1. We can weld this between the notch or throw it in the scrap pile. Keep. All right, the 1x1's out. About to burn these dudes in on the inside, and then we'll get ready to start capping everything. And then we get to cut it out in the center, and then jack it up and send a picture to the owner to get him excited. All right, so. All right, here's the top plates that come with it to cap the notch. Yeah, we don't need all that. So we're going to trim them down. I already trimmed the driver's side one down, and that's the difference. So there's several different ways to do this. You can cap them over, or you can kind of recess them like I did. The reason I done that is I got a nice little lip there to throw some weld in. Also, I will note that these were not bent the exact same as the notch. They're a little short. If you look right here, it don't go all the way to the top. So putting it over the top and welding here would have been kind of hard. So also I had to take, I don't remember the exact measurement. This is now 2 9/16. That's 3 inches. So I had to take that much off of it to make it fit down in there. So, yeah. Anyway. I got this in there. I'm going to put a clamp on it, clamp it, pull it in tight, and go ahead and weld this guy in. Get the other side in, and that's probably about all I'm going to get done tonight. But I want to get these guys capped in so I can get the center cut out, get this thing compressed, see what it looks like. All right, I got this one burned in. It's a lot of welding, but it does the job. I got to cut this top cap. I'm going to get it burned in tonight. And I may go ahead and cut the center out, both sides, before I go in. It's about 10 o'clock already. Got to go back to work in the morning, so I don't want to stay here too late. But, yeah, go ahead and get this side done. All right, got them in. Got the bottom out. The brake cable's hitting on this side. And I need to turn the pinion down a little bit. It's about to hit the cross member. But they're in there, and that is way past how high it will be for the 17s that we have currently. So, all in all, it went good. The rear end is a little forward than the notch, but where I set it up at ride height, it's perfectly centered over it. Oh, it's kind of one of those damned if you do and damned if you don't things, because if you don't center it at ride height, then the rear end could be way back in the notch and hit it. If you center it all the way down, it'll be centered in the notch, but it may hit going up. It's just that arc of travel. It is what it is. So I'm gonna cut this video off here. I'm tired. Gotta go back to work in the morning, and we got a lot done for the first 2 days. So when I come back, I'm gonna put the bottom end on the notches, and like I said, I might put a bump stop on there. I'll show you how I do that. And I gotta bolt the shocks up, and the rear's done. Besides tighten some bolts and set the pin angle. So all in all, very nice kit. We had to modify the rear cantilever arms just a little bit. You saw they were hitting the dog bone. Cleared that. Everything else went smooth as glass. I've also got to re-drill the front holes for the gas tank so I can put it back in. But that'll probably be the last thing that I do. I'll get all this mocked up and then paint everything, put it all together for the final time. And I'm not pulling everything back off again. I'm just going to paint it on the truck. Everything that's already we put on was painted black, so it's all just going to be black. But like I said, I got to weld the bottom of the notches in, and then once all that's done, we can start working on air management mounts. I'm still waiting on compressor mounts to come in from Keith at Infamous. So I'm going to check tracking number on those. If those aren't here pretty soon, are going to be here pretty soon, I may spin it around and go ahead and do the front and just put it all on shop area. So I appreciate y'all checking this out. I hope this is the kind of stuff y'all like seeing. I've tried a bunch of different things lately. The car show footage, the builds, the interviews, stuff like that. I hope it's the kind of stuff y'all still enjoy watching. So appreciate y'all checking it out. Catch y'all on part 2. Catch y'all.